Personally, I find the nude horsemen to be a delight. Well, except for, everything about them, but yeah. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a reluctant VTuber, and I want to talk to you about the game that's too hot for Steam. Horses, or should I say, Horses, was released on December 1st, and it's found itself in a bit of discourse lately. Maybe you've seen it. If you haven't, that's fine. I'll give you a quick why, who, what, and all the rest of our beloved interrogatives. But after I finish my impression of a YouTube drama channel, we'll get into the actual game itself, and I'll explain why its unvarnished yet nuanced depiction of abuse makes it a masterpiece. The studio behind the game, Santa Rangione, is an undisputed indie darling. Their game Saturnalia was a hugely popular Amnesia-style stalker game that took an already popular formula and enhanced it with this stunning, charcoal, monochromatic art direction. Their game Mediterranean Inferno is a delightfully queer visual novel that took a genre that's typically dependent on static images and turned it into a true spectacle, winning it a well-deserved Independent Games Festival award. So when I saw their next game, Horses, at a Day of the Devs event back in 2023, I was pumped. One look at this handsome fellow, and I knew, this is my kind of party! So when Santa Rangione, this highly respected artist-first studio, posted that Horses had been banned from the Steam storefront, I was fuming. They have successful titles, a track record of releasing games that are well within Steam's guidelines, and worst of all, Steam wouldn't tell them why they were banned. And then, right before release, Horses was banned from the Epic Games Store as well. According to this admittedly fairly small Mastodon poll, that's 80% of the PC game market. As you could imagine, the takes on social media have been flowing fast and free, but one theme that seems to be emerging is the resurrection of this old zombie topic. Are games art? Yeah. I mean, if Neil Druckmann and Kojima haven't convinced you with their cinematic, one-of-a-kind interactive experiences, I don't know what to tell you. This is mainstream now. Games are art. As far as graphic content, Horses is no more shocking than the Louvre. Well, okay, the Pompidou. But Steam deciding to banish Horses to the Shadow Zone for basically 80% of customers effectively means that games are being held to a different standard of decency than other art forms. Content warnings and age restriction thresholds are great practices to keep younger, more sensitive players safe, but censoring the game entirely feels needlessly aggressive specifically towards art games. Because infuriatingly, there's way worse stuff on Steam. Like Sex with Hitler, and Sex with Hitler 2, and Sex with Hitler 3D. So you can see that mustache from all the angles. And it's difficult to imagine that these games, or any of the cheaply produced NSFW slop on Steam, handles adult topics with a teaspoon as much nuance as Horses. And furthermore, there's a rumor going around that this game contains indecent images of children, and that's a flat-out lie. I've played it, I can say with confidence, it simply does not. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying. In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, even though I am in no way a journalist, get real, let's go over the reasons that Horses might have been banned. Because yeah, it's a heck of a list. Let's see, we have animal cruelty, censored nudity, making whoopee, non-consensual whoopee, murder, most foul, unification, ending one's own life, and abuse. Personally, I find the nude horsemen to be a delight. Well, except for, everything about them. But yeah, there is a lot of heavy stuff in the game. Though there's also a lot of heavy stuff every year at the Cannes Film Festival.
Would you please, for my benefit, explain and justify why you made this movie?
I don't think I have to justify.
Yes, you do.
I think it's a very strange question that I have to excuse myself. I don't feel that. You are all my guests. It's not the other way around. That's how I feel it.
Like so many works of art before horses, the graphic nature and heavy themes here exist to serve the central thesis. Abuse is really, really bad. Horses depicts a cycle of abuse that perpetuates itself and shows how it infects families and societies like a disease and how difficult it is to escape. None of these horrible things are depicted as good, much less titillating. The game wants to graphically confront you with the ugliest parts of abuse to viscerally communicate the damage it wreaks. Now, you don't need graphic content to talk about abuse. Lots of games accomplish that. However, you do need more than one story about abuse. It's a multifaceted and widespread problem, and some stories will require these kinds of graphic depictions. Horses is one of those stories. So let's talk about it. Why does Horses need to be the game that it is? What is Horses even about? You play as Anselmo, a 20-year-old who is still relatively new to the realities of being an adult. You have yet to make anything of yourself, and your father is very emphatic about how disappointing this makes you. You've been sent to work for 2 weeks on your uncle's farm to build character. And your uncle is very kind to you, albeit a little... the smile on this guy. Oh boy. But he's definitely doing his best. He makes you meals, and every morning he leaves out 3 homemade biscuits for you. He's putting in so much effort here. He puts a custom little decoration on them every day. How cute is that? I mean, as far as ranchers to be employed by in a video game goes, I mean, it could be a lot worse, right? What? Your jobs are take care of the garden, feed the dog. Aw, can you pet the dog? No. Okay. And take care of the horses. Oh my gosh, Barbie, eat your heart out. Let's go see these beautiful, majestic creatures. And, I wouldn't call those horses. Even more bizarre, the house is filled with pictures of actual horses, which means that this isn't a metaphor, this isn't imagined. These are literally men and women, stripped naked, with horse masks bolted around their heads. You know what? Whatever, I just have to get through 2 weeks of this and then I'm back home. The actual gameplay is fairly simple. Get your daily tasks, find the tool you need, do the task, next. It reminded me a lot of other low-budget indie horror games we've seen in the past few years, like something you'd find in a DreadX collection or a Chilla's art game. For the purposes of this video, I'll call this genre task horror. You do these simple, repetitive, almost like cozy game-esque tasks, and then just when you're relaxing into the rhythm, you get a little spook, almost like a reward for playing the game well. But Horses takes this and turns it. The rhythm isn't interrupted by jump scares, it's interrupted with, "Oh, god damn it, this is my first day, come on!" No jump scares, only existential horrors. Confrontations with reality. On day 1, any illusion that this is any kind of consensual arrangement is crushed. The game takes every opportunity to remind you that these are just masks. Beneath them are real humans intentionally being dehumanized. Your uncle introduces you to the horses in a scene where they hold up their name tags with their human hands. These are people. You wash them with the hose and they react like you or I would, crouching and raising their hand to protect themselves from the stream. These are people. The horses get out and you have to go find them, following their tracks in the dirt. Not hooves, human feet. I'm tracking other humans. These are people. The art direction in the game is honed to a fine point designed to needle you with reminders of the reality of what you're doing. When you do any task, these cartoony 3D models don't have any animation for it. Instead, a few seconds of live-action footage plays, ladling slop into a bowl for the dog, filling the watering can, digging a grave. When you take out the trash, which may or may not be body parts, a giant fly is overlaid on the scene, accompanied by a loud buzzing sound, effectively simulating the overwhelming stench weighing on you under the hot Italian sun. Juxtaposed against the cartoony models and the task horror gameplay, it feels like reality is intruding on a formula I thought I understood. I don't get a sense of satisfaction after I complete a task. If anything, I feel complicit. But my father and uncle both insist that this work is honest and moral. It's what'll save me from becoming a ne'er-do-well. It represents the natural order of things. Between the juxtaposition of live-action clips and cartoony models, there's a third aesthetic choice that also demands your attention. The entire game is framed as an old movie. Instead of voice acting, the game cuts to these big, intrusive dialogue cards like a silent movie. What little music there is feels pulled right out of a Nickelodeon's organ. And the entire game has this old film filter over it. While it definitely looks cool, I think it's much more than just a stylistic flourish. The feeling that you're watching a film simulates the way that abuser and abused will dissociate from reality in order to survive or avoid facing the reality of what they're doing. By literally placing that cinematic filter between you, the player, and the horrible things happening in the game, it's able to simultaneously create that dissociative effect while still forcing you to confront the repugnant acts happening here. A lot of the more filmic choices remind me of silent films, but it also reminded me of a very specific movement in film history: Italian Neorealism. Italian Neorealism is a movement from the 1940s and 50s and is considered to be a reaction to life after fascism in post-war Italy. It cynically depicted the unvarnished reality of how brutal life could be for the working class in Italy. This was revolutionary in a country that, just a few years ago, would jail these directors for depicting Italian life as anything other than fantastic for everybody, all thanks to our fearless leader and your personal best friend, Benito Mussolini. Why would you complain about debilitating poverty? Poverty doesn't exist here. World War II Italy had a real there is no war in Bossing Say vibe. But after World War II, directors like Roberto Rossellini, Federico Fellini, and Vittorio De Sica developed neorealist techniques to explicitly force the viewer to confront the reality of life during and after fascism. Specifically, scenes were filmed on location rather than on a set, which drew attention to how World War II had ravaged Italy's cities and towns. They tended to use first-time actors who gave performances grounded in their real-world experiences, rather than the glossy veneer achieved by professional training. Plot structures were looser and bucked a typical 5-act structure. They often would be episodic in nature, and this reflected the way that real life doesn't really have neat plot structures and promises no happy endings. And I'd argue that Horses has found a way to replicate this very specific movement in filmmaking within a game. Horses is divided into 14 days, giving it that neorealist episodic structure. The setting is humble and the characters are largely working class, like a neorealist film. There's an emphasis on photo-based textures in the game, and this contributes to an on-location feeling that grounds the game space in the reality that the characters are living in. And the character models' uncanny design make these performances feel rough around the edges, like a novice actor conscious that they're being filmed. Kind of ironic how a game that replicates this post-censorship film style has been heavily censored, but anyway. I think making a game in the tradition of neorealism is a significant choice here. My theory is that by evoking a movement about the fallout of fascism, it's able to make some poignant observations about the way that a society with fascist tendencies will inform individual morality and even encourage abusive behavior within families. There's a scene where you give another woman a ride on the shoulders of one of your uncle's horses, and she literally looks down on you while explaining how important it is that ne'er-do-wells, like the human beings she's riding, be reformed as horses. How they simply have no value to society otherwise. And it's hard not to admit to yourself how it's people who think like this that enable this abusive farm to keep operating. And how, in that way, society is kind of the engine powering the abuse machine. The game uses a visit from a vet to explore how the people who define what healthy looks like can easily discard anything that looks unhealthy, and how parasites will pose as people who, quote, are just here to help the unwell, and take advantage of that. A visit from a priest explores how getting your morals from a religion with corrupt power structures will inevitably lead to pretty fucked up morals. These three visitors all come from the outside world, a world with some really ugly tendencies, and we see just how they enable abusive patterns in the much more intimate setting of family life. Just like how Neorealist films depicted how the ugly tendencies of fascism had long-lived impacts on individuals and families. I don't want to go into any more spoilers than that. I really want to encourage you to experience the game for yourself. It's $5, only a few hours of your time, and despite being banned on the largest PC gaming platform, it's still fairly easy to get. You can buy it on GOG, itch, or Humble. I'll say that itch.io is probably my favorite, but I've put links to all three in the description. There's just no substitute for experiencing the game yourself, of deciding whether or not to narc to your uncle, or learning why you probably don't want to pet the dog, or of coming around the corner to 3 freshly baked biscuits and wondering, will today be a good day or a bad day? I will comment, indirectly at least, on how the game's ending made me feel. The thing about abuse is that your abuser probably suffered something similar in their life. The memory is replaying over and over again, like a film, somewhere deep inside their subconscious. When you actually look at what it would take to stop the cycle of abuse, to stop anyone else from being stuck inside the same movie, it would be the easiest thing in the world. And yet, your abuser can't do it. Instead, he perpetuates it. Because admitting that it's abuse, that it's wrong, is to admit that what happened to himself was painful. It summons that pain to the surface, and this man, terrifying as he is terrified of that pain. He thinks he knows with all his heart that that pain will consume him, completely annihilate him. So rather than face it, he continues on, perpetuating the cycle out of raw, unfiltered fear. Just to keep alive the illusion that the cruelty is reality. This is just how people treat each other. It's natural, and certain kinds of societies will feed into that illusion, help prop it up. The realism injected into the game, for me at least, comes to represent the illusion of reality that our uncle feels he needs, just to keep from being swallowed by the simple truth that this is not how things need to be. In the game, after that cut, the film filter goes away. We aren't looking through a filter of cruelty layered on top of reality. It's just reality now. And it's no longer mediated through the construct that our uncle needed to survive. And it's only after we make that cut that we're able to claim freedom. Thank you so much for watching. If you really enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy my video about The Night is Grey, which is another very dark game. I once again dropped everything I was doing to cover a hot topic that I found myself getting passionate about, so a huge thank you to my brave and generous patrons who enable me to follow wherever the creative winds take me. It wouldn't be possible without you. I stopped work on a big project to get this out the door because I really think that people need to know about this game and the censorship and hopefully see a little bit about what's at stake. The project I paused to finish this video is a pretty important one, and I think I'm ready to finally announce it. It's the much requested sequel to my Slay the Princess video. I really wanted to get it out this year, but that's not really looking likely if I'm honest with myself. It should be released in January. It's been super challenging to write, and I think you'll see why when it's finally out. Anyhow, thank you again for watching, and thank you again to my patrons, who I love very much. And I love them so much, in fact, that I always try to wish them a happy birthday when I can.
Hello, I'm Whoosh, and I came down from space. I traveled for miles to put a smile on your face. Yo,
Jeff!
happy birthday. You're cool! My home is Mars and the trip is long, but it's worth it to sing you this birthday song. Yo,
Jeff!
happy birthday. You're cool!
That was awesome!
Oh my god, imagine jumping into a birthday song after a video this heavy. Listen, everybody wish Jeff a happy birthday in the comments. The guy needs it. You're all implicated.
I'm implicated.